not going to lie. The music back then, I don't like when the older generation calls us lazy. When Gen Zers say we're done, sometimes we just have to be okay with things being fucked up. And because it's coming from an older messenger, we as the younger generation have a problem with it. Legacy, girl. Ugh. Friend, how are you doing? How are you feeling? What's going on in your life? What's popping? What's tea? Welcome back to another episode of the Hey Friends with Layla Elise podcast. And this is season 3, episode 11, girl. If you have not already, why you not subscribed? Okay, more than 80% of y'all who have been watching my videos are not subscribed. And we need to change that. Okay, I want to be friends with you. Clearly you see something in me, so we have to be friends, which means you have to subscribe. So make sure you subscribe here on the channel and make sure you like and comment below so that I know that you enjoyed the episode. And make sure you are following the podcast that is the Hey Friends with Layla Elise podcast. Y'all, as y'all can see, your girl got a wig on. She got some hair today. I needed a break, girl. The girls know. Listen, the natural hair is a commitment I would never take back. You feel me? But who said we couldn't do both? But I hope y'all had a good week and a good weekend last week. When this video comes out, Tuesday would have been election day. I'm filming this on Tuesday. So if you have an election coming up, make sure, you do your due diligence and get out there and vote. Don't tell them that I didn't tell you that, okay? Today's lip combo is honestly the same. Okay, today's lip combo will be in the description. This is NYX No Whining Ruby Kisses Black Brown lip liner. I did both. And then Fussy Heat and Fenty Beauty, of course. Listen, Fenty, whenever you have time, girl,
you're just everything. Whenever you have time, girl.
Whenever you want to come, and give your girl a little, hey, I can get some lippies on now. As long as you send them to me, baby. I got you, queen. But today we are actually sipping on something, y'all. Last week I was not, because I didn't eat, but today I ate, y'all. So we're sipping on some champagne. I will put on the screen the bottle of champagne this is. One of my favorites outside of the, I forgot how to pronounce it, the Manietto, however you pronounce that. I'll put that on the screen too, because I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. But both of those champagnes are my champagne of choice. So cheers to episode 11. We are almost to the 3-month milestone. And for y'all who have subscribed and have followed me on my Instagram and all the things, this is to y'all. So cheers to community. Yes. Tastes like New Year's Eve, girl. So I'm gonna have to cut out every time I get up and pick up my glass, because girl, that's gonna take 2 minutes. With all that being said, today I actually wanted to talk about something I've been thinking about recently. I have been just in a lot of rooms with people that are older than me, and I know last week, if you haven't watched last week's episode, make sure you watch that. I was really talking about the pressures of being a mature young person. And so this week is kind of like on that same track, but something more general. I've just been thinking a lot about the perception of us as young adults, and particularly the perception of Gen Z, especially as it pertains to like elder millennials and even Gen Xers. I've just been spending a lot of time with people that are a lot older than me, and just recognizing a lot of differences in, of course, language, lingo, things like that, right? But like differences in how we associate things and how we relate to things, I think, as generations. Of course, there's going to be a generation gap, but I just find it so interesting how times have changed, and the times now, the young adults of today are completely different than the young adults of the 90s or even the 70s. So I'm not gonna lie, there are some things that the old school, I'ma call it, the old school folks got over on us new school folks. Number one, that being the party scene. I've kind of talked about this on a couple episodes, but like, can you imagine clubs with no sections? First of all, let's just stop there. Clubs with no sections. Can we imagine? To y'all who was out clubbing in the 80s and the 90s, specifically, even the early 2000s, I'm jelly of you. Okay? Because I just feel like it was so much easier and so much more fun to go out as a young adult in the 90s and the 2000s. Like, the girls were wearing stiletto pumps in the club. What? If I were to walk in the club with my stilettos today, they would be looking at me like I am out of my mind. Like, did this just come from court? I might have, you feel me? But it's just like, I don't know. I feel like, now I will say, I feel like we have done as young adults in terms of this generation, I think we have done a better job at like club wear and going out wear. Like, don't get me, I'm not gonna lie, we put it on. I'm not going to lie. Nobody is touching us in the dressing department. I get that things are historical, right? Like, I get things have been also cultural trends, especially in the 90s and stuff like that when it comes to fashion. But we're not gonna sit up here and act like the young adults of today are not putting that shit on in the club. Like, step your cookies up. No shade. If you're not there, it's almost like you can't even go to the club. And that is kind of like the downside about it, is because then, I don't know if y'all seen that video of that girl. She was in the mirror. She was like, see, I could get by in the 50s. And the homegirl behind the camera was like, where are you getting by to? But like, seriously, I feel like you could get by back in the day, and not in the 50s, but I'm just using that video as reference. But like, I feel like you could get by with more of a basic style or a basic wear back then than you would now. Like, and that's what I'm, at the same time, to my point, but like, we are putting that on. It's just, it just gets to a point where it's like, okay, is this a fashion show? You know what I'm saying? Everybody got on the same thing. All the wearing the same bedazzled jeans. All the girls got on the same Fashion Nova jumpsuits. The IMG sets. Like, everybody got on the same things nowadays, which that is, I feel like, the downside. But overall, though, the older generation got us beat when it came to the club scene. Like, the music back then, girl. Like, being able to go to the club with $20 in your pocket and leave with some, we will never be able to experience that, you know? And when that conversation comes about, I step out. You feel me? Like, I wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? I was not there in circa 99 or circa whatever. You feel me? Like, I am in the club with Chief Keef and YK Niece and all the girls, you know? But we thank them for their services. You know, I think our music is okay. But, like, I'm not even gonna lie, even me being of this generation, like, going to the club, I be, some of that, the bass, the vocal lyrics, it just be a lot, especially after 2 hours. For me, that's like my cap at a club. 2 hours. If we're not going to the next spot, or after hours, or the hookah lounge, or whatever else, or getting a bite to eat, or girl, I'm going home. 2 hours is my cap. I feel like then they were partying all night, you know, no stopping. And it's not just the disconnect. It's not just the disconnect in, or the difference in like how we experience culture and music and community, because partying is really about culture and community to me, but especially when it comes to us as a black population. But I feel like the internet and social media has also been our downfall. Like, even when that conversation comes up, I step out, because I'm not going to sit here and defend a system, because that's really what the internet has become, a system of hierarchical privilege, beauty, access, wealth, like all of these things that the internet as a system, but social media as the mechanisms, if you will. All of these platforms in which that are hyper visible, that are always in our face, always recommending content, like there's information everywhere. I just feel like that transition, especially once social media came about, because the internet came before social media, but particularly once social media came about, like that transition in technology, culture, music, like music changed, being able to stream music. TV and film changed because of streaming. Like all of these different branches of the internet and then social media and all of these layers, I think, have created distance between the realities in which we as a younger generation have lived in and the generations before us. And I don't just think, and I'm not that person, right, who thinks that like social media and the internet was like the demise of our country or our world. Like I don't also necessarily believe that social media and the internet gave us all of these positives and things. Like I do think it has raised a level of matter of fact, I'm just gonna say it has democratized certain accesses, certain the ability for everyone to have a platform. Like case in point, I'm not gonna sit here and deny those facts, but the internet has also, I think, made it really difficult for the younger generation to like actually go out in the world. Like we do suffer from social anxiety more than I think the generations before us. And I do think that social media and the internet plays a role in that. And I also think what plays a role in us being more socially anxious is because we have also carried and know the histories in which the generations before us have came from, and we recognize that their realities were no good, and we are starting to recognize that our reality is really no better. And so the anxiety of finding a place in this world and having belonging outside of social media, you get what I'm saying? Like that anxiety also I feel like is also such a niche experience that the older generation kind of just sees the internet as this thing. But like for us, the internet is how we live. Like if we don't have our phones, if we don't have internet, we might as well cancel the whole day. You get what I'm saying? Like a Gen Xer can lose their phone. You'll be calling them all day and they like, oh girl, my phone was between the couch. Like we would have broke that whole house apart trying to find the phone. It's also that attachment, I think, to social media and technology and the internet that I think, I don't know, I'm sure there are studies on that, of course, but like there really needs to be some in-depth study as to like, is it really an attachment, or is it just a familiarity, or is it a sense of like safety? I don't know, but the internet really kind of did a number on us. I'm not gonna lie. One thing I feel like, as someone who is a part of the younger generation, I don't like when the older generation calls us lazy. Like, where do we get that from? For real, y'all. Like, let's throw away the internet. Let's throw away, all the things that have come with technology that y'all try and, associate with us. Cool. But when did it come about that Gen Z is lazy? Here's the thing. I think laziness and discipline are two different things. And I think discipline and work ethic are two different things. I think the work ethic between Gen Zers and the older generation are different. Absolutely. Do I think that we don't work as hard as the older generation? Yes, because we're trying to in turn be smarter so that we're not working so hard to the point that we're exhausting ourselves. But at a certain point, it starts to become like we're wanting to cut corners. And that's when the whole premise of we want things to come fast for us as Gen Zers or young adults of this, generation. There is a fine line. I do feel like we want things at a faster pace, but I don't think it's because we're lazy. I just think we want things at a faster pace because we know that we can, right? Like, we know that things are different now. We know times have advanced and changed. And so I think just with that hyper vigilance also, we are hyper aware of the things that we can access and the things that we can do, and in turn makes us want it faster. I don't think that equates to laziness personally. Okay, you can call Gen Zers lazy all you want. That has nothing to do with me, because I know how I am. I know I'm not lazy. I know my work ethic. I know my discipline, right? I do feel like the older generation is more disciplined when it comes to routine, but I think we as a younger generation are more disciplined when it comes to decision making. And let me explain. Older people don't play about getting up in the morning. They don't play about getting to that job on time. They don't play about getting them kids up for school and getting them picked up from school. They don't play about, the customs, right? They don't play about those things. They have that discipline in wanting to make a daily effort and a personal and individual responsibility of committing to a routine, and a routine that is trustworthy and is like a routine that you can show up for, right? I think the older generation are more disciplined when it comes to decision making, in the sense that when we say we're not doing something, we're not doing it. Like, when Gen Zers say we're done with the BS, we're done. When we quit that job, it is F you to everybody. When we don't like that auntie at the family reunion, we're not smiling in her face. That is where the difference lies. It's not that one is more disciplined than the other, or one values certain things more than the other. I think we have learned from the older generation and have chosen to be smarter in the ways in which we show up in this world. And when it comes to the things that we don't have to do and the decisions that we do want to do, can't nobody change our mind. And I know some people think that that's like, can't nobody tell you nothing, and y'all think that y'all know everything, and y'all haven't even, y'all think that y'all lived this kind of life before, and da-da-da-da. No, Shay, you haven't either. You haven't lived this kind of life. We all are here for the first time. You feel me? But I think that when us as Gen Zers decide that we're not putting up with certain things, that we are going to be change makers, or that we're going to be, and reach a certain level of success, we mean that, and we go after that, and we stand by that. I think the older generation still kind of struggles with that decisiveness in boundary setting, for example. That's really what I'm talking about. I think we do better at setting boundaries and making decisions based off those boundaries than the generations before us. And I'm not gonna lie, the old heads were standing on business and are still standing on business, 10 toes. But I think as a collective, we got them beat. Like, we don't play about that racism stuff. You say some racist in front of a Gen Zer, you need to leave. What? Not saying that it isn't no conservative, racist, sexist, transphobic, xenophobic, all the thing, classist. I'm not saying that there isn't young people like that, because they are, okay? And they are slowly rising, but they're not a majority. That is some of the majority of the older generation. Please hear to the descriptors in which that I am saying. I am saying some, I am saying the majority, I am saying not all, okay? But we don't play when it comes to that racist. We don't play when it comes to that sexist. We don't play when it comes to that patriarchal. The patriarchy is
I'm finding it.
the thing that I think the older generation still struggles with, is that they don't necessarily understand some of the systems in which that we might be able to label as problematic or derogatory or what have you. I think the older generation still thinks that that's like customary, or that's just how things are. And it's not that I think where we go wrong is that we want to change it rather than just living life how it is, and are recognizing how life is and then acting accordingly. I think as a younger generation, we get too caught up in wanting to change everything or wanting to make everything better or less painful or less hurtful or less problematic, when like sometimes we just have to be okay with things being f***ed up, because it's not a reflection on us. But I think because we have and feel that pressure of the older generation wanting us to step up, whatever that means, we feel like we have to show ourselves as valuable and overly committed and as the answer. And it's just like, who have been saying that? Who said that? But I think, it's a two-sided coin. There are things that I think we do good at as a younger generation, and then there are things as an older generation I wish we were able to kind of take heed more to, you know what I'm saying, and to adopt more in our real lives, because we can't forget the histories that came before us. We can't forget the traumas that came before us. We also can't forget it because we are constantly reminded. You know what I'm saying? If it's not from our own kin, it's from the older generations around us, at our schools, at our work, at the places that we shop at, all of these things. And I think also, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying about us as a younger generation being more decisive. Like when it comes to us breaking generational curses and breaking generational patterns, right? Because I feel like we kind of throw around that word of like generational curse as like a negative, or like also something that is a failure. And I don't feel like everything that didn't go well in the generations before us, I don't think that is a failure, or that was, something that they were responsible to fix, and I don't think that everything, just what I was saying earlier, I don't think that it is our responsibility as a younger generation to want to fix everything that came before us. But I do think that we are more aware, almost too much, but I think we are more aware of like our generational patterns that we want to dismantle and, right, like not participate in and not carry on to our generations and those ahead of us or behind us. We have seen our grandparents or our parents marry ain't men, or date or have kids with ain't men, and we serious about not repeating that. We've seen our fathers not be visible and not be fully present in our lives, and we've seen our mothers have to make up for our fathers or the father figures in our lives. Like we have seen also the fathers who may be visible in our lives but are hyper patriarchal, you know what I'm saying, and are very traditional in the ways in which that they make themselves known in families. And like we also are aware of the domestication that the women in our families have become subject to. Like we are aware of all these things and are able to talk about them, I think, with a different kind of identification than the people or the generations before us. And I also think that there has to be less shame involved in that from both sides. Like, from the older generation, there has to be less shame about us wanting to not partake in those generational patterns of like, oh, everything is trauma, or everything is, like that, poking fun also at mental health, and like poking fun at our emotionality sometimes, that like we take things too serious, so we're always emotional about things. And it's like, no, it is that serious. It is that deep. Look at you. Look at the people before you. Like, we are in strongholds and y'all not seeing this. And so I think we feel that shame of just what I'm saying, like that emotionality and that shame of anxiety also with dealing with that. But then I feel like there is also a little bit of shame when it comes to the younger generation shaming the older generation for not wanting to break those generational patterns, and shaming them for the behaviors or the incidents in which that have caused trauma to us or the generations, connected to us. And I'm not going to say that there has to be forgiveness there, because I think we throw that term out too quickly. Because sometimes things don't need forgiveness, like sometimes things just have to be understood. You feel me? But like, I'm not going to forgive some ancient behavior or some aggressive and violent doings, or, some sexist, principles in which that were maybe taught or preached to you at a young age. Like, I'm not going to forgive those things, like those traumas, but I will come to a level of understanding and contextualizing that experience, right? And understanding how the generations before us have maybe gotten to that point. But I think that we have to, as a younger generation, stop being so shameful also of those same generational patterns. Because we don't have, what is there to be ashamed of? You feel me? And we don't need to feel shame just because other people are trying to put that on us, or the older generation is making us, feel uncomfortable about that. Like, I don't know. I think the shame around just how we deal with politics in society and mental health and just familial traditions, if you will, or patterns, I think it's just like, it also gets just super draining, because then I just feel like at a certain point everybody's just pointing fingers. Like, are we even listening anymore? And I feel like we have to pay more attention to the gaps of understanding and stop trying to diagnose everybody and everything. Like, especially from a younger generation standpoint, like this therapy language and this new awakening, if you will, of dialogue and just prescribing problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody, especially with the oh my God, slow down, baby. Especially with the democratization of social media and things of that sort. It's like everybody really thinks that they know everything. And like, can we stop getting on the internet and trying to analyze everything so much to, like, seriously, it sounds like we trying to prescribe or diagnose something. Half of the time we don't even be knowing the people that we talking about on the internet. We don't even be knowing for real. Like, we haven't, and I'm not saying you have to do a certain level of like intellectual study and research, but like some things we don't even really spend time thinking about. We're just commenting on, just to jump bandwagon. I get sick of that as a younger generation, you know what I'm saying? But we're not going to sit up here and act like the older generation doesn't do the same thing and trying to always point out what the problem is or nitpick at the things that don't go well, because y'all know them uncles or them aunties at the family reunion that's always complain. Like, how you 89 years old still complaining? You done had high blood pressure, failed arteries, heart surgery, and still walking around here negative, in the words of Nene Leakes. God is a good girl. You should be thanking him every day, girl. That meme of Nene, when I tell you it's my favorite, of reading down Kim Zolciak, if you know, you know. But it's just like, how are you 89, 75, 91, 65 still complaining, nitpicking, just talking about bull? Like, nothing of value. You have no wisdom as an older person, and you expect us to listen to you, or you expect us to take your advice, or you expect us, like, what? Who are you at this point? Who are you? What do you have? What do you do? Who what has made you? Can you answer those questions? And just because somebody is older than you don't mean that they wise, yo. Everybody don't got the I in the T. Everybody don't got it. But I think we also have to do better at discerning wisdom and discerning who we are wanting to retrieve wisdom from and who we are giving wisdom to. Because sometimes I be looking at the older generation like, why are y'all trying to mentor? What is, like, these, going back to these power brunches and these boss up lady courses and these ebooks trying to teach y'all how to start businesses and all these things. Like, I get sick and tired of the older generation wanting to be of wisdom so much that it becomes inauthentic. Like, are you actually seeking mentorship or a mentee to mentor? You get what I'm saying? Or are you just trying to talk at or down at someone? You feel me? Like, there are people, especially from the older generation, that get a sense of power from being older and more mature, and I'm putting quotations around that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they get power in knowing that they either have a one up on someone, even if it is just a couple years, girl. And it's just like, girl, I feel like you just using me and my innocence, right? And my lack of experience, my age, to make yourself feel better for what you're lacking. Sometimes those same experiences, that same discernment, that same wisdom, and you really trying to get it from me. I said it. There are some of y'all older Gen Xers or older millennials that be so obsessed with the younger generation and wanting to make them better as a mentee or as a generation, and it just starts to become, again, it's just inauthentic. It just looks really inauthentic in the ways that you're trying to find connection with those that are younger than you. Like, I hate somebody that's 45 still trying to act like they 21. Like, I would hate them kind of teachers at my school. Like, why are you in the girls' Snapchat video? Like, older people, it's okay to get old. Do you feel me? There should be no shame, and don't be internally ageist with yourself. There should be no shame in being comfortably 45 or being comfortably 33 or being comfortably 60 or whatever the age is. Stop trying to use youth as an excuse to, like, hide from that or cover that. Like, act your age, and that goes for both. Because I feel like there are young people who are trying to, I don't mean to, like, grow up too fast, but, like, what am I trying to say? I just feel like there are some young folks who are missing out on young and childlike experiences, you know? And we can't rush aging
and we also can't slow it down. So you just have to be present where you are. You feel me?
Y'all, my ankle done fell asleep, girl. So y'all gonna have to excuse me. But
yeah, I'm like, I really wish that there was and is a better way to connect with and between the generations. You know, I feel like it's so much potential, especially when it comes to politics and advocacy. Like, there's so much potential in multi-generational collaborative efforts. And I just get so sick of the divisive language and like, oh, well, you know, that's a young people's thing, or, you know, that's some old people. And it's just like, why do we have, why does everything have to be a young person's thing? And why does every young person thing have to be like, why do we have to be the butt of the joke? But at the same time, why does everything have to be a problem because there's an older person saying it? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it could be the same message just coming from different messengers, and because it's coming from an older messenger, we as the younger generation have a problem with it because we don't like feeling like someone has power over us. And because we perceive that the older generation thinks that, we automatically get offensive or defensive. And it's just like, sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, and even what I said earlier, like, we do be wanting things fast. Like, sometimes some things that the older generation is trying to tell us is true, bruh. It's true. And we just have to be open to listen. We just have to stop. We have to let our guard down and recognize that, okay, and discern that this person is looking out for me. This person is wanting the best for me. You get what I'm saying? This person is wanting me to show up a certain kind of way and in the best way. So maybe, let me kind of like take into account what they're saying. Take the meat and leave the bones. But like, I get so offended by, like some of the old jokes that the young people kind of make about older people. Cause I'm like, I am praying and hoping and can't wait to get to that age where I don't give a what? Girl, you're not going to be able to tell me anything at 50 like my mother. Are you serious? You're not going to be able to tell me nothing at 55 like Nia Long, and 60 and 70 like Whoopi. Like, what? You better hope you're still here at 50, 55, 60. 65, 70, 75. What? Like, those jokes, I don't partake in. That's not funny to me. You know what I'm saying? You better hope you can make it that age, for real. And I also feel like there just has to, especially when it comes to being less divisive, like, I just think that we have to do better at being in mixed company. You know what I'm saying? And being in company of people of multiple generations. Like, that's one thing that I continue to strive, is to be around those of all generations, those, especially those in my generation, but those who are older than me, those who are younger than me, right? Those who may be still within my generation but still are older than me, like an elder millennial. Like, I have, like, even in my circle of mentors, I got a mentor in every generation. I'm so serious. I got a mentor who's 30. I got a mentor who's finna cross over to the 50s. I got a mentor who's well within her 60s. Like, I want the rainbow. You feel me? Like, and I think that also as young people, we have to stop being afraid of older people. Like, every older person is not looking down on us, and every older person is not talking shit about us. They're just not. Sometimes they really want to befriend us and really want to connect with us and really want to learn from us and want to build a relationship, right? But like, you being on the defense all the time is going to keep you from making those connections and relationships. And I think you just have to be open to how relationships and love and community and support comes to you. And sometimes that may come from somebody that's 44. But young people, we also have to be ready to engage with those who are older than us. So that means no shade, but can you hold a conversation with someone older than you? Right? Can you talk about things that are important in society right now? Not just including the news, but I'm not just speaking about the news. Like, do you know politics and do you know what's going on in the world? Keep you about 2 or 3 things in your back pocket and leave it there. You get what I'm saying? But do you have things to contribute to a conversation? Are you able to walk into a room and present yourself as wise? And not in the sense that it's a persona, but you're walking into a room and you are counting yourself in. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're showing value and commitment and a sense of intellect. Are you walking in rooms as a young person with older people? Are you walking in rooms and recognizing, the social cues of how you need to show up? Or are you walking in the same way that you would if you were to go to brunch with your homegirls or your homeboys? No shade, it's a time and place. No shade, those are 2 different interactions. Like, and I'm not saying you have to do yourself up, but there is a level of awareness that comes with being in relationship and dialogue with people that are older than you. If that's something that you are open to, and it's something that seems as which that is, showing itself to you. You get what I'm saying? I also feel like everything doesn't have to be a lesson when it comes from the older generation. Like, especially when it's within mentoring relationships, like, everything doesn't have to be, okay, let me teach you this real quick. No. Just show me. I don't want you to preach every Sunday. I don't want to feel like I'm at Bible study every time I'm with you because you're trying to teach me something. Or I don't want to feel like I'm at a history lesson every time I'm speaking with you because you're trying to teach me something as someone older than me. I want to have a conversation. I want to have a relationship. But this thing of like, what we gonna pass on to this next generation and like legacy, girl. Ugh. I get tired of that. Because some of you are just trying, especially some of you older, mentors, and those of you in the older generation, some of you are trying to make up for what you didn't do when it was really your turn to be building legacy. And so now you're trying to make up for that and put together the pieces of that by just planting seeds anywhere in any old kind of way. Like, well, this is gonna grow, this is gonna be my legacy. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna impart wisdom in them. This is gonna be my legacy. They're gonna do what I say, and and I'm gonna continue to spread the good word, and this is gonna be my legacy, and I'm serious about. Girl, what's next? Because that's what it's given. Like, we tap dancing to show that we have something. To show that we have something. You know what I mean? Like, this Americanized idea of legacy is just really whooping us. And even as a younger generation, like, we're trying so hard to be and do things that are big for us to be known, or for us to have a certain level of like legacy. You know what I'm saying? Of like, everything has to be extravagant and sensational and over the top and extreme. And it's like, that's not legacy. Like, just because you're able to do something on a big scale, that's not legacy. And I think from the younger generation's perspective, I think we need to reconsider what legacy is and how do we build things that outlive us. And I think as an older generation, like, legacy has to stop being so limited as to legacy is either wealth, career, or property, girl. Like, no, man, that legacy really gets me. Like, what are you leaving behind for the next generation? I don't know. That's up to them to figure out. You feel me? Like, none of the pioneers, I mean, they were confident in themselves, in who they were and how they were going to show up in this world, but they did not do, everything was not done with the intention of like wanting to be famous and wanting to have that. And that's another distinction. We have to distinct fame and legacy. Two different things. The pioneers were going for legacy, not fame. You feel me? That's what I'm trying to say. Pioneers before us and even of our time, a pioneer is someone who is building legacy. A pioneer is not someone that is famous. And even though the two can be true, you know what I'm saying? And I just think also as a younger generation, we have to stop wanting to do things out of visibility and notoriety and fame and wanting to be seen and taken as, extravagant. Like, we're gonna kill ourselves trying to outdo ourselves or to outdo other people. Like, to a certain point, you can't think of anything new, babe. To a certain point, you're not bringing anything, new under the sun, babe. You're not, you know what I'm saying? You're not inventing anything else. So what are we sitting up here trying to make everything so sensational? Do it and be consistent and watch how it grows. You feel me? And I think the older generation has to stop making legacy a shame point of like, if we're not so concerned with legacy, then we're not living our lives and we're not doing it right. What is your legacy? Quickly. Because I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like we got that concept all jacked up on both sides. Y'all, I've been talking so much, I ain't even barely sipped this champagne. But yeah, I mean, I think that there is room for growth. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to just how we are able as a younger generation to connect with the older generation. Like, I do feel like it has gotten so much better, especially when it comes to just certain societal norms. You know what I mean? I do feel like younger people appreciate older people. And I think that's another lie we have to stop in that, like, young people don't like older people, or like we don't appreciate the generations before us. Like, no, we do. We see it, we've heard it, we feel it daily. You know what I'm saying? I do feel like we as a younger generation are wanting to do good things and doing the right thing by not wanting to be like the generations before us, in the sense of not wanting to repeat those same patterns, traumas, and wanting to really live a life. You know what I'm saying? And a full and robust life. And I do think the older generation has gotten better with accepting us as young people, and with, bright ideas and new concepts and things like that. And I think we have to give them more credit for that as well. I think, again, it goes for both. It goes for both. Both of them, And I think it just has to be more radical empathy, right? Like, in the sense that even though you are not them, And even though you may not be able to comprehend someone else's reality or lived experience, especially from a different generation, and dare I say background and all these things, but there has to be a level of radical empathy in the sense that regardless of the similarities, that you still are able to put yourself in their shoes and recognize their lived reality. And I think that goes for it. That is a principle that I think we need to do better as humans and as a humanity, right? Like radical empathy, I think, especially as a feminist principle, I don't think we spend enough time actually giving credit towards. And even though we talk about it, but we're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think we just have to do better. We have to do better from a younger generation's perspective, being more welcoming to the older generation, being more accepting, being less defensive. And I think the older generation needs to be less definitive, less bossy, if you will, and just more conversational, you know what I'm saying, with the generations behind them. And I feel like the disconnect would start to shorten, but it's always going to be a generational gap. You know what I'm saying? There's always going to be things that we are going to get that the other generation is not going to get, or the other generations before us are going to do and have better and know more, you know what I'm saying, than the generations after them. It's going to be a pull and tug, you know? And I'm sure at some point when I get to a certain age, I'm going to be saying the same things, some of the same things to the younger generations after me, you know, because I see some of the signs with Gen Alpha, my God, today. Like, why y'all not going to school? Side note, why y'all not going to school, Gen Alphas? Why y'all not showing up to school? Why y'all not reading? Why y'all not doing your homework? Quickly. Because we need people in office. We need people starting their own practices. Okay? We need people starting their own companies. We need people inventing new things. We need people in opening banks and properties, and I can't support another lash tech. You feel me? Like like the career aspirations, I used to want to be astronauts, and these kids want to be, I don't even know, like, what do they want to be nowadays? Seriously, y'all help me. What do the kids want to be? And I feel like a nurse is a scapegoat. I'm sorry. Everybody can't be a nurse, babe. I can't even get it out, y'all. And I'm not I'm not shaming anybody for picking the career path that they are. We need business owners just like we need employees. Why y'all not going, the younger generation not going to school, y'all? I'm gonna have to talk about that on another episode, and about this whole conversation around college and things like that and things of that sort. That's probably gonna be next week now that I think about it. But girl, I'm just like, I know I'm gonna be saying the same thing, some of the same things to the generations after me, because things do fall off. You know what I'm saying? Customs do start to become less ordinary, and I don't know, there be certain principles and certain practices that I just am like, I don't know, should we be getting rid of that? Should we be getting rid of, or, you know what I'm saying? Should we be changing the narrative around college not being for everybody? No, it needs to be for everybody. Like, I know I'm going to show up in a certain sense as an elder at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I'm going to be showing signs and saying things that at some point when I'm older, the younger generation is going to be like, why? You know what I'm saying? They're going to be saying the same thing about us. They are. But again, I just think we have to recognize that we can't rush age, and we also can't take it back. And I think we just have to be present in the moment and recognize, community and relationship, and who's really on our side. You feel me? Hopefully, I don't know. I hope I don't really turn out to be that kind of elder, when it's my time. But girl, I'm just like, whoo, what's gonna happen next? Like, what's gonna happen after this? And that's why I'm trying to stay in wisdom. I'm trying to stay, where love finds me. You feel me?
But yeah, I know for me, I'm like, I want to be around people that are older than me. I enjoy being around people that are older than me. I feel like they just have a such unique perspective that I feel like, I also like to show, and this is something else, as a younger person who is in relationship with older people, like, feed them as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, contribute to their stories as well. Like, talk about how they have in their histories or herstories have like given you a new sense of being. Like, I really do my best to express verbally how people have impacted me. And I think being around older people has challenged me and has coined me to do so, because again, it just comes from a different level of dialogue and discussion. And I think we can take those nuggets also. And I think the older generation can take nuggets from us. I think the way that we are able to be open in conversation, to be open in thought and philosophy, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I think we are so accepting and inclusive as a younger generation that I think, the older generation is also looking at. And to my point, like, they're taking nuggets from that too. And I don't know. I don't know. I want everybody to be good, girl. I want everybody to do what they mean and mean what they say and all the things. But they're definitely, like I said, it's always going to be a generational gap. But I just hope that with radical empathy and with the ability to also challenge ourselves with multi-generational experiences and discussions, I am hoping that, we can begin to shorten that gap and really begin to understand each other from a generational perspective. But at the end of the day, the people gonna do what they want to do. I don't have nothing to do with what the people want to do. So that's all I have for this episode. Those are really just some thoughts that I have been thinking about over the past couple days. Let me know in the comments if y'all agree with me, if y'all feel like I missed certain things, or if y'all just want to elaborate. I'm always curious to know what you all think. If you do not, make sure you are following me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm about to start going live on TikTok before I film. So I film on Tuesday, so I'm going to start going live on TikTok every Tuesday. So make sure you are following me on TikTok. That's my TikTok is just Layla Elise, but my Instagram is Layla.Elise with 2 E's. And again, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you comment below so I know that you made it this far. And make sure you're following the podcast on Apple and Spotify. And that's it, y'all. I will see y'all on the next episode. Bye, friend.